5 o'clock, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will forego the board comments from the board chair, and we will go into our citizens addressing the board. Anyone wishing to address the county board on an item not on the agenda may come forward at this time. My microphone on. Please state your name and address for the record. Comments are limited to 5 minutes. Personnel complaint against an individual county employee may not be heard initially at a board meeting. Personnel complaints may be submitted to the board in writing through the county administrator's office, and a person addressing the board may not use profanity or vulgar language. Anybody wishing to address the board, please come forward and to the microphone and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Randall Berg. I live at 1826 Monroe Avenue Southwest in Bemidji Township. I am 74 years old and moved to Bemidji when I was 30. I have spent 44 years of my adult life here in Beltrami County. For over 20 of those years, I worked as an assistant Beltrami County attorney. I believe I've got a good understanding of the county, its people, and its government, and I want to thank you all for this opportunity to address my concern to you. I'm here to specifically voice a concern as a Beltrami County citizen regarding a subject not on the board's agenda, but which was addressed at your earlier work session. Specifically, I want to talk generally about the dire effects on Beltrami County finances of the Federal Budget Reconciliation Act, which became law on July 4th. Some have called the act one big beautiful bill. I expect that you, who will be responsible for dealing with its consequences for the Medicaid and SNAP programs administered by the county, may or will have a different and less flattering name for this particular piece of legislation. The impact of the federal reconciliation legislation on Minnesota's rural counties was succinctly summarized in the Minnesota Department of Health's official summary, which stated that the cuts to the healthcare and nutrition programs, and I quote, represent an historic disinvestment in Minnesotans' health, well-being, and infrastructure, increasing costs, reducing coverage, and destabilizing critical services. I will not burden the record with the detailed statistics of the irreparable damage this bill will do to the healthcare and food security programs, which are critical to the lives of hundreds of thousands of Minnesotans and thousands of Beltrami County residents. They are summarized in the materials submitted and displayed to you by the Beltrami County Department of Human Services earlier, but I would draw your attention to them as well as to the one-page summary from the Minnesota Department of Health and Human Services that I provided copies to Ms. Moe of, which I think she will either have distributed or will distribute to you. Suffice to say that as a result of HR 1, more people in Beltrami County will experience food insecurity. More people will go without essential medical care, and the administrative and financial burdens on Beltrami County will increase precisely at a time and in areas where they are already overwhelming available resources. It is true that the precise extent of the extraordinary damage HR 1 will do in Beltrami County is in part contingent upon what portion of the burden of the cuts will be absorbed by the government of the state of Minnesota as a whole. However, I infer from the recently published comments from the county administrator that he, for one, has little confidence based on painful experience that the legislature in St. Paul will offset all the adverse impacts of the federal cuts. So you may be asking, what are we as a county board supposed to do about this impending catastrophe? What can we do? Our financial capacity to tax is already stretched to and beyond any reasonable limit. Well, I'm here to suggest a no-cost action that you may wish to consider, if not now, in the future, as the impact of these cuts become more evident. The cuts, as you heard at the work session, have been deliberately delayed, or the impact of the cuts deliberately delayed past the next midterm election, while the tax cuts contained in the bill are in immediate effect. As I say, the time is coming, if it is not already here, for the Beltrami County Board of Commissioners to condemn by formal resolution not only H.R. 1, but also all elected federal officials who purport to represent Beltrami County citizens who sponsored, supported, or endorsed its enactment, and to condemn it as inimical, as having represented an act inimical to the general welfare of Beltrami County and its citizens. I would recommend that before the board consider adoption of such a resolution, to consult Mr. Hansen's office for an opinion on the particular language to be employed, that should be employed, to avoid any retaliatory action by the Federal Department of Justice or the Federal Department of Health and Human Services for any alleged violation of the Hatch Act. But again, I want to thank you for hearing my concern. I know in the weeks and months to come, the effects of this legislation will become more and more evident and more onerous, and you will be forced to make more and more difficult decisions that find their roots not here, but in Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berg. Next citizen that wants to address the board, please come forward.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, Administrator, and attendees. My name is Emily Thabes, and I am the Executive Director of the Beltrami County Historical Society, 130 Minnesota Avenue Southwest, Bemidji, the county's historical society of record since 1952. Thank you for allowing me to share some updates about the Historical Society. First, I want to express our gratitude for your ongoing support for the North Country Journal through the county's Tourism Development Grant. Originally published as North Country by resident historian Hilda Ruche in the 70s and 80s, this revived publication continues to preserve and share the rich histories of our community, and we're proud of the meaningful connection it creates between residents and their local history. Since physical publication, we have applied now for an International Standard Serial Number, that's ISSN, via the Library of Congress, and we intend to seek state and national recognition for this inaugural publication. So thank you again for your support, and we hope you enjoy reading it. And I'm particularly excited to highlight two upcoming events that showcase exactly why historical programming matters to our community. On October 23rd at the Bemidji Library, we're hosting a special reading that features stories from this North Country Journal, including the fascinating account of Emma Davids. This leads directly into our signature fall event, History Mystery, the suspicious death of Emma Davids, on October 24th and 25th at 5:30 p.m. History Mystery is an interactive mystery drama set in 1906 Bemidji, where our audience will become the detectives. This isn't passive entertainment. It engages with history, solving puzzles, and competing for costume and prizes. So what makes this year's History Mystery particularly relevant is that this is a real story. Emma Davids was a real Bemidji resident, and her death was attributed to laudanum, the primary means of opium intake of her day. This historical connection gives us an opportunity to bridge past and present. We look forward to working with local addiction centers to provide information to community members attending History Mystery about how we can contribute to the current fight against opioid addiction in our county. History isn't just about the past. It helps us understand and address the challenges we face today, even when we can do it in a fun way. Beyond History Mystery, we have a full slate of fall programming that serves diverse community needs. Our Art is Her Story series, made possible by Minnesota voters through the Region 2 Arts Council, includes free workshops from copper bracelet weaving to watercolor painting at locations throughout the county, including Black Duck and Kelliher. We're also hosting Designing the Future, Women in Engineering on October 18th, and In Her Boots, Women in Service on November 8th. Panels that connect historical perspectives with contemporary role models for young people in our community. Our Capturing Memories writing workshops continue to help seniors preserve their personal stories, and the Loon Country Arts Creative Cafe provides free creative space for residents ages 12 and up, while Loon Country does not have a space of their own. These programs demonstrate our commitment to being more than a museum. We are a community hub that makes history accessible, relevant, and engaging for all ages and backgrounds across Beltrami County. The response we've seen to these programs shows that our community values this connection to their heritage. History Mystery tickets are already generating interest. Art is Her Story workshops have filled their 10-seat capacities quickly for most of those workshops already, and we continue to see strong attendance across our programming. Thank you for your continued partnership in making these programs possible. As you deliberate on funding priorities ahead of the December 2nd meeting, we hope you'll consider the broad reach and impact of our programming. We invite you to join us at any of these events, and I think you'll see firsthand the value that they bring to our community. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Emily. Anyone else wanting to address the board?
My name is Cheryl Schafel. I am a resident of Beltrami County. I live in Joe Gould's district. I don't plan on giving you my address because I don't give that out in public. If you would like it privately, I will do that.
That's fine.
And I am here to speak once again about the library. The library is such an important part of this community. I moved here in December. I was here December 2nd. I didn't know anybody in town except my daughter and her family. And by the second Monday of the month, I was in a book discussion club and I got community. Do you have any idea how important community is to people? Especially out of COVID. The other thing I go there is I see people who use the facilities that are just absolutely imperatively important to their lives. You know, I see people who go there to use the internet because they don't have access to it anyplace else. They do resumes. They apply for positions there because almost every place now, if you want to apply for a job, it needs to be done online. And most people who are unemployed, they probably don't have the money to have internet services. If you want to sign up for Medicaid, I believe you have to do most of that online unless you go in person. They need that. Social Security. Social Security, if you want an appointment for the Social Security office, you have to do that online. They don't even accept phone calls anymore. The people in this community who need the services from the library are the people who don't have access anyplace else. I had a discussion today about this, and I had someone say, you know, that they could just go to a coffee shop and access the internet there. Well, you know, on my phone, I can do that. I have a phone where I pay for unlimited data and unlimited minutes. Many of the people in this community don't have that. You know, they have phones where they buy minutes. They don't have access to the internet on there. Now, maybe you don't relate to that. You know, I probably wouldn't relate to it if I didn't know people who did. But there are many people who are so removed from the people who need those services that they don't have a clue. So they have no empathy, they have no compassion, and they just don't care. But you're the commissioners of this county. It is your job to care about the people who live here. It's your job to care about everybody who lives here, no matter how much they pay in taxes. The people who use the library rely on it. You're also talking about people who have jobs there. You know, what are they going to do? We're looking at more unemployment. Do we need more unemployment in the county? There are so many things. How about the children who go there? The children who go there and get a lifelong love of reading and learning. Now, I don't know if any of you up there are readers, but I became a reader because people read to me when I was little. You know, it was empathized. And that's what we need. If we want to have well-informed people, we need readers. And what better place to get that than the library? I can't tell you all the reasons why we need to have that library in the community, why it's here. But it's for the betterment of the county. And it's your job to look out for the people in this county. So anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board? And it does not see anybody else. Is there anybody online, Diane? Okay, we will move on. Thank you. We have the approval of the agenda. Look for a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Winger. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Carlson. Any further discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
3-1, the agenda is approved. Approval of the consent agenda. Your motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Winger. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion approved, 4-0. There's nothing on our regular agenda for this evening, so we'll move on to commissioner reports. Commissioner Winger, and include if you have any legislative lobbying things as well, tie those together.
You want to do that first or?
Yeah, legislative lobbying and commission, whatever you have.
Okay, I did chat about last time. I just want to say I did purchase some of the trees that Soil and Water were selling, and not only was it a good deal, they were really nice trees. And so I got a few of those. I know they still have some left that they're going to be still distributing in areas. So by all means, if you get a chance to get on those, they're worth it. We did the road tour.
Commissioner Winger, on the trees, were they all the same price or were they different costs for different
Yeah,
ones?
the ones I bought some white spruce and some blue spruce. And they were, the potted ones, and they were really nice, tall, thick. Yeah, they're a nice tree.
Were they all the same cost though, or what,
Yes.
do you remember what that
I
was?
think they
or-
were $15 a piece.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
which is
Yeah,
a really good deal.
good deal for
trees
nice
the
trees.
size they were.
great. Thank you.
Yep. And then we did the road tour, went around. It's kind of nice to see how many of the roads are getting a lot better. We still have a few of the really unfortunate ones out there, but they're in the process. So that's good. And then I was involved at the interviews for HR. Those went relatively well. And I have a BASC meeting tomorrow. That's all I have.
All right, great. Commissioner Gould?
No report this week.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Carlson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I attended with Bruce Hasbargen, the Transportation Advisory Committee. It's held once a year by HRDC. Tony Clares heads that up. We get commissioners and county engineers from all over the Northwest area come together and talk about different ideas and about the roads. I had a Magic Fund orientation meeting where we talk about the duties, responsibilities, the job of a trustee for the Magic Fund. For those that aren't familiar with it, that's the fund where the counties can put excess funds because you can imagine in the May when they get a bunch of the taxes come in and then in October they come in. So then they have to have someplace to put it. Yeah, it's a great way for the counties to have a good return on their money, by a professionally managed firm. So that's a great board to be on.
Thanks for explaining that so people didn't think you were just abracadabra and creating money at the county.
Thank you for that, yeah. I'm trying to remember what the acronym stands for, but maybe I'll bring that next time. We had an airport committee meeting, Greater Bemidji meeting, JLD&O committee. As you heard from that, we'll be bringing forth that up on the next meeting to talk about, see if there's a general agreement about what to do with the old jail. I did attend the Farm Bureau annual meeting out at Beltrami Electric Co-op. At a Prime West meeting, I had the road tour and the HR director interviews with Commissioner. I did have a question, Mr. Chair. I know that Tim had said he was going to be out of town. That's why he wasn't, and I hadn't heard from Commissioner Gould. He didn't return my email, but I was wondering who was going to go to the Minnesota rural counties, because Commissioner Winger and I had the HR director interviews, and I still haven't heard from Commissioner Gould if he went or not. So I'm guessing maybe he didn't go, and I'm gonna ask Commissioner Sumner if he'd be able to go if he needed to, and he was gonna be out of town. So the point is, Commissioner Sumner is supposed to be at Shoutabout tomorrow at 8, and I don't know if he remembered that. I think he's at AMC Executive Committee meetings is I think where he's at. So I'm not sure if he was gonna be back. And I'm just wondering if one of us if someone needs to be ready to fill in for Shoutabout tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure
Would you be available to do that, or do you want one of us to volunteer for it, or?
I have a meeting that starts at 10, so it'd be cutting it a little bit close.
I do too, actually. I can't get out of mine at 10.
Okay.
I don't know if Commissioner Winger has any.
I have a Basque meeting at 8, but that's usually done by 9:30, so.
9:30 is when we have to be there.
Right,
yeah.
If you can do it, great. Otherwise, I can try to squeeze it in before my 10 o'clock. Because it usually only takes about 15 minutes.
Right.
but-
If you can, that'd be great, because I know we don't get done till
Okay.
9 o'clock and sometimes 9:30 or.
Okay, I'll plan on being there, and if Tim's there, great, then I'll just,
Right.
You want to shoot Tim a text or something, or do you want?
yeah, I'll try to communicate with Tim.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay, that
Sounds
sounds
good.
good.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for thinking ahead on that, Commissioner Carlson. And that was it for your report? Okay, thank you. Had a Mississippi Headwaters Board meeting, and it was, we were able to ratify that land. I think I brought it up a previous meeting, it was nice to be able to actually, help, speed the government up in a little bit, and we ratified the decision that we had given that landowner for the splitting of their lots. And that should have been able to be handled by an administrative thing, but just, the way the law was written, we had to actually formally approve it at the Mississippi Headwaters Board, even though they're not directly on the lake. But the road tour, I concur with Commissioner Winger that a lot of the roads we went on this year had been redone and were in much better shape. We didn't spill as much coffee or anything this year, so that was good. I attended the Northern Township public hearing at the fairgrounds for the Northern Township City of Bemidji deal. That was extremely well attended. Good to see the people there, testifying for the judge that was there, the administrative judge that was there, and then been doing a lot of union negotiations, and we're making some progress there. So that's it for my report. Anybody have anything else? Otherwise, look for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Commissioner Carlson. Do I hear a second? Well, I was saying to put that together with your other report. Did you have something legislative? Oh, no, we're good. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Winger. All in favor of adjournment?